Whoa there, hello and welcome to a match of Dota 2. We have got Mufc and Vici Gaming in the quarterfinals for the Dota 2 Premier League, AMD Premier League Season 2, and we'll see which one of these two teams will move on because it is single elimination. However, it is a best of 3, so there is at least a bit of a chance for people to get through. I'm not by myself for this match. We have got a statsman in our midst. It is Music who will be providing you with stats inside the game, and I also have a co-caster, Vikermond. Welcome to the broadcast.
Good to be back, Sheever. How you doing?
Doing good, and I'm actually, this is probably one of the more exciting matches of today, or at least the one that I was looking forward to most. Because,
yeah,
I
think it's good.
Yeah, well, MUFC, TA3 invited team, Vici Gaming was expecting to make it through to the qualifiers before LGD got knocked down by switching roster. And I actually checked out the bets today for these two for this match. Most are in favor of Vici Gaming. Also, Vici Gaming has of course recently switched roles. The old famous ZSMJ playing carry is no longer playing carry. He is playing support with FY on the carry role.
Yeah, he switched. So that's one of the really interesting storylines for this match, I think. So we already saw a few games with the new VG post-roster switch, and I was initially kind of skeptical, just from a theoretical perspective. The stated reason for moving ZSMJ4 and FY1 is that so that FY, who's sort of a rising star, could have more of an impact on the games, but I actually think he was having just fine of an impact on the games from the 4 position. But you can't overly academicize these things. Sometimes, you know, to keep passion in the game, you want to make something like a role change. And so far, ZSMJ, especially on the jungling supports like Enchantress and Chen, has been doing very well from support, and FY has certainly been able to make a good impact from the carry as well. So they've been doing well. And MUFC, I just feel like since the patch, since 6.78, they've kind of struggled to regain their footing in some respects. And I'm not totally clear on why, just because I haven't observed that many of their games, but I do know that they've had a lot more trouble than I feel they were having before.
Yeah, I think part of that trouble is in the draft, just not knowing where their actual strength lies in this patch. We'll see what they go for today. We've got a Batrider, Alchemist, Visage, and a Darkseer ban out. No real surprises. We know that Vici Gaming is a team that likes their IO though, so that one is still in the pool, and who knows if he makes it through to the second banning phase as well. Vici Gaming pick up 2 heroes that we know for being very potent in the mid lane, but picking them both up, of course, one of them is not going to be mid. It is the OD and the Dragon Knight, and MUFC secure themselves a Lifestealer and a Nyx Assassin. And there goes the Enchantress out of the pool.
Yeah, this is a very interesting draft for VG so far. Unless they want to run one of these in a tri-lane, this is basically both of their solo lanes taken up, as well as neither of them can do a solo hard, right? So it's going to have to be a 1v1 lane and a mid lane. Alternately, OD can be run as part of a tri-lane, and I never see it, but I actually think that Dragon Knight could be tri-laned as well.
Yeah, definitely. We have got the Shadow Demon banned out. I mean, Vici Gaming, no supports just yet, so it's very easy for MUFC to just ban out those supports that go for setup supports, like the Shadow Demon and maybe the Rubik as well, as I apparently have no issues. Volume low. Never mind, that was not an issue anymore. If there's any issue with the stream, people say again, and then I will read in 2 minutes because I can't read up anymore. Of course, people can also watch it in Dota TV.
Invasion MUFC's turn to ban.
Whoa! Did you hear that?
Yes.
I don't think I've heard that before.
Yeah, sure you have. The thing with the team name?
Yeah, but I haven't heard it from Invasion MUFC yet.
Oh, well, probably because they never ended up showing up, right? But they recorded all the voice lines.
That's true. And we have got new voices added for the new teams, of course, that will be at TA3.
Right.
Yeah, but this is the first time that I actually noticed that MUFC has one as well. Unfortunately for Vici, they have to hope for next year.
Yeah, that's going to be a road to TI4 thing, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, I know what's wrong. Apparently Moobot is missing, but...
So one thing that's interesting about MUFC's draft is just how highly they drafted this Lifestealer as well. Of course, this is a hero that's retained most of its popularity in the Eastern scene, so in the Southeast Asian and Chinese scenes since the patch, whereas in the Western scene it's fallen in priority quite a bit. The other thing I think they're doing here is trying to snatch up a very solid carry as early as possible. One of the areas where I feel like MUFC has had a little difficulty lately is that one role. Huntrash hasn't always been able to have the impact on the game that I feel he'd like to, especially considering he's a fairly aggressive carry player, so you want to give him something that can go on the offensive. And securing up Lifestealer early gives you the best of both worlds. It gives you a hero that can scale into the late game, and a hero that you can get aggressive on early. So drafting it nice and early is an attempt to sort of strategically shore up some of their tactical weaknesses.
Yeah, and I hope that they are also going for dual core because, as you just said, Huntress player likes to be aggressive, but they also need to have someone that can maybe cool down a bit. Like, if at some point Huntress player starts from going to be a 1 role to maybe more of a 2, they need to have someone to take over that 1 role. And Phantom Lancer could be that hero, and there's a dual core. So this is one of the tri lanes that we saw a ton of and that got banned out a ton when Phantom Lancer first got in. Nyx Assassin, Keeper of the Light, Phantom Lancer. One of the more annoying tri lanes to deal with. They could in theory run this aggressive, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Could go for a very safe lane as well, as we have seen a lot of Lifestealers up against ODs in the mid, so depending on where Vici is going to run the OD and the Dragon Knight, they could just run the Lifestealer mid and pick up another offlaner for them and just play it safe.
And even if VG tries to run the OD in like a solo safe or something, you could put the Lifestealer solo hard up against it and it does just fine. Lifestealer, one of the best matchups to take against Outworld Devourer in a solo lane like that, so I think that's good. The PL Keeper of the Light, it's sort of I feel like it's a fallback position for a lot of teams. It was sort of almost a dog that didn't bark in the sense that nobody likes playing against it, but it's not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination. Its win rate was never all that impressive, but nonetheless it is a strong combination. The Spirit Lance from Phantom Lance are a great nuke, and if you have the ability to spam it via Chakra Magic, you'd love to do that. I would expect it, if they can, they will probably run it as a safe lane, tri-lane, but depending on how the OD lane works out, they may have to run an aggressive. I think they'd rather not, but it is possible.
Yeah, at the same time, MUFC thinking hard about their last ban. I mean, on the side of Vici Gaming, we've got... Oh, they banned out a Doom, nicely done. But we have got 2 cores already in the OD and the Dragon Knight in a way. We've got an offlaner that could go into the jungle as well, and we've got a Rubik that is basically one of those setup supports that I was talking about. And they could basically pick up anything they want right here. Pick up an offlane, possible. Pick up a carry, it's even possible. Well, not that nice, I think. But yeah, a lot of possibilities here for Vici Gaming. I'm really curious to see what they end up going for. And I would even not be surprised if they still end up going for that IO.
Yeah, this looks like... I wouldn't like it, actually, but this looks like a Chinese team IO composition. The Nature's Prophet is a very common choice with IO in the Chinese scene. They also go for these sort of slightly off-kilter but still doable IO pairs like Dragon Knight. Basically, they want to change their draft as little as possible to accommodate the IO, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. I actually can't say that I would really favor an IO pick here, but it's very, very possible. I agree with you. This looks extremely like the sorts of drafts where Chinese teams, not counting DK, pick up IO. Because DK, I feel, uses IO a lot more similarly to the way that Western teams use it.
I agree. Way more aggressive as well, as IOs in the hands of Vici Gaming normally just used to the Dragon Knight rather than really go out to try and gank. But we'll see what they end up going for. We have MUFC picking first though, and that will reveal how they are maybe going to run their Lifestealer. If they're going to be having an aggressive tri-lane or not, I mean, that's still up for grabs regardless. But at least we'll see if that Lifestealer will be attempted to go mid, or maybe attempted to go on the safe lane, maybe up against an OD. Just try to put him up against an OD, regardless where the OD is. But they pick up a Windrunner, and that is a solo lane, and they can still do a lot of different things with this one.
Yeah, this is a nice open draft as far as lanes go from MUFC. I do think that the matchups they're going to want are Lifestealer versus OD, if at all possible. They'd like to force that out. And then depending on how VG's draft actually ends up working out, They could put Windrunner up against Dragon Knight. They could do something else. We'll have to see what VG actually drafts. Like you said, the IO is a possibility. I also think that they could just go for it. There's actually all sorts of things. It depends on how greedy they want to get. IO is the very ungreedy choice. Yeah, okay, so it's going to be Magnus off lane?
Yeah. I'm not too fan of the Magnus off lane. I am okay with him mid. I'm not really a fan of him anymore since the patch, of course. But at least he'll get his level 6 fast. Well, if he's on the off lane, that's going to be one of the things that is quite worrying.
Well, he's going to be... They're going to try to set up a 1v1 for him, I think, most likely. And the thing is, he's going to take a tremendous amount of harassment damage. So he's going to... If they want to run him 1v3, he needs a ton of regen. But keep in mind, there's only one stun in MUFC's tri-lane. So that does mean that Magnus isn't likely to get punished too much out of his skewer. So as long as he has a crap ton of regen, he might be okay. But I think most likely they want to set up a 1v1 lane for 2-2, and then just have CTY on the OD in a 1v1 lane as well, and then the tri-lane.
Yeah, let's see who is playing what exactly. We've got FY, the Dragon Knight in this game. Of course, the one that swapped roles with ZSMJ. ZSMJ will be playing the Nature's Prophet. Will probably go into the jungle. We've got AZ playing the OD. Who's AZ? That is...
It's CTY.
Why is he named AG? Was it not Lulu
I don't know, but
anymore?
for the ECL he had a different alias.
He switches all the time. But he'll play his OD. We have Fenrir on the Rubik, and then last but not least, as you mentioned, 2-2 on the Magnus.
Alright, yeah, and looking up towards the Dire, MUFC, going to try to take this one out over VG, try to advance to, I guess, the finals, or the semifinals of the tournament.
Yeah.
And that will be Hontrash player, playing under the name Scrutinized. That's going to be on the Phantom Lancer. He's joined in what looks to be an aggressive tri-lane by Ling on the Keeper of the Light, and Winter, team captain, on the Nyx Assassin. That will leave FZYY. He's going to be playing on the Lifestealer. My guess is solo lane, solo safe. And then TFG, Too Fucking Good, will be in the middle as Windrunner.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of roles they actually end up going for, if it is indeed Lifestealer on the safe lane. Because right now it looks to be going mid. But I'm expecting them to just see what they're going to be up against, so that they'll have that OD up against the Lifestealer. But that will be the case. If he goes mid. So OD Lifestealer will be mid. Windrunner Magnus will be top. That's going to indeed be a good lane for 2-2, and that will mean that it's a trial lane versus dual lane here on the bottom lane. Will be a tough one for FY, actually. I mean, there is a Rubik, and Rubik is, of course, one of those supports that can save his carry as soon as someone initiates. You've got yourself a telekinesis to help out and drop everybody back and stun everybody up. But FY is not going to get that much farm out of this lane, purely by the amount of harassment that is going to come into him.
I agree. Also note that Rubik does not have... Do they have sentries? No, they have no sentries. So, MUFC has successfully blocked this camp. It's not going to be unblocked until Rubik has a lot of gold to work with, so he can go and sentry it. So that means that VG won't be able to control the lane. Nice stun coming out from Winter already, and Fenrir is actually trapped. He's going to take a tremendous amount of damage. He doesn't die, but as Rubik, when you spent a lot of your gold on support items already, since you're in the hard 5 role, VG has a fairly greedy draft here with only one dedicated support. Your money is really, really pinched and you can't afford more regen. So actually it's a lot of trouble for VG already. They did pick fairly greedy lanes, and that's why MUFC thinks that they can get away with this aggressive try.
Well, I believe they actually can. I mean, only 2 tangos left for the support, and you know, you get hit by one more Illuminate and you are having to use those 2 tangos already. In the meantime, the lane is pushed out. So it will also be more experience going away with MUFC, or at least safer experience, if you will. And again, FY can't really get anything done here. I'm quite surprised that he still managed to get 7 last hits of the creep wave that actually came into him. But it was, of course, on the back of Fenrir there, who now realizes that there's no creeps around. So we'll have to maybe jungle together with ZSMJ just to try to get some extra experience. He's actually walking back to the courier, gets himself some extra regen, and with that, sentry wards. Well, actually, ZSMJ bought sentry wards? Yeah, thank you.
That was nice of him. Because, yeah, again, Rubik's not going to have any money to work with. I do have to say that the idea of a 4-position Nature's Prophet tickles me quite a bit. Simply because, you know, ZSMJ moving... Oh, nice deny on the Invisrune there.
Yes.
I mean, ZSMJ just moving from the role of hard farmer to support, so if he can support on a hero that is constantly farming, that almost seems like an ideal circumstance in some respects. But, I mean, MUFC, they've got pretty good lane matchups in all the lanes, which I like. Windrunner isn't really that favored against Magnus, but she should do, like, she won't lose the lane by any means, and she should be able to farm pretty well. Lifestealer, again, he's actually probably the only matchup that OD has that he doesn't outright win, or one of the very, very few. There's things like Lone Druid and Viper, but you give up a lot to run a Viper against OD, whereas you always want to run the Lifestealer, so if they have an OD, yeah, run that Nyx.
Yeah, he is actually winning his mid lane though. It is 11-8 for him with FCFC sitting on 5-0. And there's the votes. It goes the way of Vici Gaming, and again, it's the same thing that we saw on Ghost of Gamers and Join Dota as well. I mean, Vici Gaming is the favorite in this matchup on all bets that I've seen, and still, I mean, you'd mentioned it during the draft. It strikes me still as odd because, of course, MUFC, a TI3 invited team, not even qualified, no, invited. As we have got FY taking on a ton of harassment. He is able to dodge the Illuminate almost, though. Almost. He still has one salve, and he has got stick charges, 7, so we'll be okay with that as well. And he actually got the regen that Fenrir had, just to keep him up there.
Yeah. I mean, MUFC, as Music, our stats guy, pointed out earlier, does have a favorable record against VG in their record of playing each other. They're 6-3 against VG. But, I mean, I think people are responding to just the... Relative to recent performance, VG has been doing a little better than MUFC. I think VG have been looking pretty impressive. Adding Tutu, I'm still sort of gathering information about what I think about this roster change of XTT for Tutu, but Tutu has certainly had some fantastic games, including one on Slark, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah, by the way, for people wondering, what we saw at the start of the game, the new GG rules is that if you type GG as a team in all chat, or any chat I believe, it will actually end the game in 5 seconds or 10 seconds or so.
It asks for a confirmation.
Yeah, you
first.
can cancel it, but it's automatically gonna end the game, so you have to be a bit wary about it, not to call it by just for fun. One thing that I, by the way, really like about just in general carry players rotating to support roles, and we see it in Kuroki, we saw it in Arsart as well, who of course also was a bit of a, well, not really a carry role, but a ganking role before he started playing support for Na'Vi.
Right.
But they know how to find farm, and that's such an important feat to have on those supports. You need to be able to, like, you turn into a way more important hero later on in the game if you have a support that actually has got a bit of gold, and that can make all the difference in the world, as we have seen with those other players I mentioned. And I'm really hoping the same thing for ZSMJ, though already on the Nature's Prophet. I mean, you know, you went from being a carry role and last hitting creeps to being the Nature's Prophet. I mean, he is named Nature's Prophet for a reason, you know, so...
Yeah. I have to say, I don't think MUFC are getting as much out of their laning advantages as I feel they should, so... TFG is only just barely doing better than Tutu in this lane, and he hasn't really harassed him back to base at all. I feel that Windrunner has the capability of doing a lot of harass, but he's been eating a lot of shockwaves, so he needs just as much regen as Tutu does. Then in the middle, Lifestealer obviously is not going to win the lane against OD, but he's been held to only about 11 creep kills, which is fairly unfortunate, and CTY is just rampaged, 31 for 19, so that's a whopping amount of denies. You actually see the Lifestealer spending time in the jungle, so he's not having as much fun as he wants to either. Maybe they get the first blood on FY here?
Nature's Prophet coming in, though, to try and help. FC using, FY using his stick charges, will be staying alive. Maybe they get Winter instead. Winter doesn't have any mana left, doesn't have Spike Carapace as well, but is able to run himself out because he has boots. In comes the Skewer, 2-2-1 shockwave, gets that first blood, 2-2. Makes it happen.
That was a nice TP. I really thought that he wouldn't get anything from that, but nice skewer and max range shockwave. If he had been a little earlier, he actually might have gotten Keeper of the Light and Nyx Assassin, because shockwave has no fall off. It's not like power shot. So that was really nice. And yeah, like FY has 25 last hits in this lane. Hontrash player has 27. And this is a 3 versus 2 lane, a lane that you should in theory be exerting a lot of pressure into. You successfully blocked. They haven't gotten a single pull in this lane, but they're out-leveling them a little bit, and that's not a good sign.
Not at all. I mean, if you run an aggressive tri lane, it's okay to maybe, you know, have your enemy get levels, as long as you're shutting their farm down, or if you're getting advantages elsewhere, and they're not getting anything off the swords. So it is really something that they probably have to make some changes for, because this way it's not gonna end well for sure. And of course, one of the results of being on an aggressive tri lane that does not really work out is being behind on levels. So that's why a level 3 Keeper of the Light got hit by a level 3... What? Oh, Windrunner? TFG? Looks to be okay. Shockwave on cooldown from Tutu.
He was trying to find an RP angle, but he just didn't feel confident in the range. I don't think he could have gotten it, but it was very close. If the RP had hit, he had the mana to just kill with Shockwave. So TFG has to be careful. He did get some farm while Magnus was away securing First Blood. So this Windrunner is, in my opinion, the main bright spot here. She's going to have to fill a bit of the hole that's going to be left by the fact that Phantom Lancer has had a fine start, but nothing spectacular, and Lifestealer has had a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and in the mid game, it should be Vici Gaming that's getting ahead purely based on heroes. And of course, you run an aggressive tri lane to delay their mid game as long as possible and to make your late game, which you should be able to win with the heroes that they have, make it come earlier. But this way, that's not happening. It's actually their late game is going to be still at the same time, but as is the mid game is going to be quite early for Vici Gaming, I think. I mean, with the RP already on the board on the Magnus, probably just waiting for a Blink Dagger before he will try to rotate and try to get some more kills. OD is having a fun time still. I mean, he is not highest on that last hit. That is the Windrunner, but I mean, imagine when he starts rotating and finds himself a Keeper of Light that is indeed still level 3. That's not going to be a pretty sight.
Yeah, I mean, I think VG are really... I don't want to say they're outplaying MUFC, but they're definitely getting every little bit out from their lanes, including picking up First Blood against the tri-lane, which is a very, very big deal. And you can see, the reason why I said early on that MUFC might try to avoid the tri-lane is you've got two heroes in the Keeper of the Light and the Nyx Assassin. The Keeper of the Light doesn't really want levels that much, although if he wants to exert a huge role in the game, he wants his Illuminate. Oh, this is trouble for Entrash player.
Yeah, there comes a Fate Bolt as well. There is a Doppelbock though. Is there any detection? It doesn't look like it. They go on the Keeper of the Light instead. Telekinesis is there, and that should be a kill. Going away of ZSMJ. TP out from the Phantom Lancer. No detection. They knew that was gonna happen, but at least they get a kill, and of course they force the Phantom Lancer back, and maybe with this are able to take a tier 1 tower down. They have at least a ton of Treants to help out.
Yeah, so again, the good news is the Windrunner. They've got an 80% win rate with her apparently, which is pretty cool. I think they're one of the teams that can play her in multiple positions, so sometimes the player is the farmer in a tri-lane, sometimes the off-lane. I've definitely seen her in mid for TFG.
Ooh.
And they try to get 2-2 here. He's still got Skewer, but he's already very low, so I think this is a kill, yeah.
It is Winter with the last hit. Nicely executed, nice shackle from TFG as well. And just one that they really needed as well. Delay that Blink Dagger, delay that mid-game group team fight dominance that Vici Gaming does have.
And it's more gold, more experience for Windrunner, who's now the highest level on the map. He's got about 1260. I feel that it'll probably be 4 staff, but there are other routes available if he wants to go for something like a fast mech.
Yeah, just to allow themselves a team fight, because they are going to be forced to team fight fairly soon, I think. I mean, team fight wise, MUFC is not going to win it 5-on-5 from Vici Gaming at the moment. In terms of net worth, Windrunner is actually keeping up with CTY, who goes for a kill here in the mid lane. In comes ZSMJ as well, and they just Wrath flying through, and they might be getting TFG. Oh, hello Eclipse, and bye Windrunner. And that's going to be putting, well, the two farmers that were even, the Windrunner and the OD, of course, they're going to be putting it in favor of CTY on his OD.
And CTY is always fun to watch on OD because he doesn't give two hoots about the... Oh, actually, they find a kill on FY, so that's a very important kill. Did he still not have his bottle? Yeah, so the courier was in use. This is the thing about using bottle on side lane these days. It takes so long for it to travel over and deliver you your bottle that it doesn't give you that dependable regen. So he was actually fairly low and got picked off in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
But I want to quickly say CTY doesn't care about this whole building tranquil boots into mechanism thing that every other OD does. He just goes straight for the big plays build. So he's going to go 4 staff, probably into immediate Scythe of Vice, and he's going to get very scary very fast.
Yeah, and they're going to get this tower as well. The Shackle doesn't latch coming in from the Windrunner. They look for a kill, maybe still though, but I don't think they're going to be getting in range anymore. No, they're not. Magnus in the meantime also taking down the tower as Fenrir looks to be going down here on the bottom lane. Huntress player not gonna opt to chase it though, letting him go. No regen up on the Rubik, but
as the Rubik is running towards tier 1, it becomes scarier and scarier because you know that Magnus has a TP available, and you know that Nature's Prophet can be there at any time. So with no supports there, I don't think Huntress player can dive that. It's too risky.
In the meantime, bottom lane, the last tier 1 tower standing on MUFC, also not gonna live for very much longer by the looks of it. However, there is defense incoming. The Vendetta is up on the Nyx Assassin. He could try to go for it, as he did previous time. Yeah, let's see. At least he'll be able to make sure it's going to be a deny. One Dragon Tail coming up though. The deny, not there. A kill goes away of FY in terms of a tower kill. Winter is able to get himself away, but so is FY. And that was, of course, again, a nice tower pickup. Maybe not a kill, but, you know, all in all, a win for Vici Gaming, who now has taken all tier 1 towers, hasn't lost a single thing for it, and is just spiking up in gold.
They got all and they got the tower last hits as well, which is more and more important these days now that you don't lose any gold when a player gets the last hit. I mean, in the mid, they used a smart timing on the Astral Imprisonment. That bottom was just really inspired play, both from Fenrir and FY, actually. Fenrir getting just outside the max range of that Nyx Assassin Impale, and so that the Impale completely whiffs, then the Dragon Tail, and just the quick bringing down of the tower. So just really, really nice play from VG. I think they're just playing extremely crisp and smart Dota.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't feel like they are really, you know, it comes so naturally. They don't really rotate specifically. It's just they won the lanes, and from winning their lanes, everybody took down their own towers. And, you know, I feel like MUFC should try and do something, but that's one of the problems that they have. Which heroes are going to keep them in the mid game? Which heroes are going to stop Vici's push from going through? It is only the Windrunner that can try and do that, and by herself, she doesn't have enough power to take down an OD and a Dragonite, who are very strong in this mid game.
Right. Well, I think one potential thing is you've got, so VG's levels, if we look at them, 10, 9, 9, 8, 5, right? So there's a level 5 Rubik, and there's a level 6 Nyx Assassin. I think whenever you're the team that has that inequity in your favor, you start thinking, how can I abuse that?
Look at
this is, wow. This is very delicate.
They see him. Infest out there goes an RP up onto Fatebolt, and that's 2 dead. OD coming in with the Eclipse. Nice shackle steal on ZSMJ. But TFG, you better run as fast as you can. Get sprouted up. Power shots her way to safety. Is it going to be enough is a question. Fatebolt will be there again as well. And it blocking from 2-2. And that should be another kill going the way of Vici Gaming. They get 3 just by perfect rotation. And by very unfortunate... well, positioning by Winter, like he was waiting for someone to show up on a top lane. He had an infested lifestealer. I just said that they should be trying to do something, you know, they tried to do something.
Well, they were going to try to hunt with the lifestealer was inside him for a while, so FCFC is waiting. Winter's like, hang on, it's a level 1 Vendetta, so I'm not going to use it until my ganking pattern starts. It's not like a level 16 Vendetta, the rank 3, where you can just chain it constantly. You sort of, it's a fairly short duration, so you need to have somebody in mind. So Winter's like, wait, I don't want to use it yet. And he gets punished so hard. They could not have been punished more for that decision. The immediate loss of the Lifestealer and the Nyx Assassin. Rubik participated in those kills. So that was a level 5 Rubik. Very easy pickings. Now he's level 7 off of that triple kill that he participated in.
Yeah, with the level 4 power shot as well, who was able to steal from TFG. And of course, that was the main difference of ganking in nighttime and ganking in daytime. If it was nighttime, that smoke gank wouldn't have scouted them out, and they would have walked right into them, and it would have ended way different, I think, or it could have ended way different.
It could have definitely.
It could have ended the same if of course, 2-2 was fast on the fingers with the RP. Oh, let's see if they can get CTY here. No shackle. In comes the open wounds, though. They might be able to get him. Where's the team?
High ground, 4 staff.
4 staff, indeed, will be safe. 4 people of MUFC trying to take it down. No TP out. That's gonna be a kill. Nice one for MUFC. Everybody takes a power shot in the face though, and they can't really afford to fight anymore, but they might be forced to fight. In comes the Dragon Knight, down goes the Courier, and Shackle doesn't let this on 2-2. He doesn't have, oh, he does have an RP. Is he gonna be able to use it? No, he is not. That's gonna be TFG still going down. 1 Dragon Tail and power shot coming up from FY and Fenrir. It is a 2-4-1 trade, but of course they got the Courier with that, and that Courier kill makes it like, okay, worth it as well. I don't think it had anything in it, right? No, it was empty.
I don't believe so. Let me check.
Empty.
No, it didn't, but it's still a really good kill just because of the sheer amount of gold it gives you. 175 times 5, so almost 1,000. I mean, considering the fact that CTY was dead either way, I think their decision-making after that was very good. Sure, they don't get the RP off. They maybe could have gotten an even better trade if they had, but they trade Magnus for Windrunner, which is fine, a 3 for a 3, and Windrunner was the main good spot for MUFC, so it's great to be able to kill her off. Yeah. Plus, they get the Courier. It's an okay trade. And for MUFC, I mean, I feel like they have to find a few more kills with this Nyx Assassin. They wanted to he's sitting on the sentry ward, so I think they know that this is about to get started again. That's just really infelicitous for MUFC. Yeah. They needed better laning, but since they didn't get better laning, I think they can still pull out with a very good mid game with some gank screening for the Phantom Lancer as he builds towards his Diffusal.
Yeah.
And that's probably the plan for them. And the nice thing about MUFC is their lineup scales very, very well. I would say substantially better. So if they can get a little bit of an advantage just to get to sort of a draw position where VG doesn't feel comfortable high grounding them in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I really do feel that this favors them late. We're talking about a Phantom Lancer and Nyx Assassin who scales with how big your Outworld Devourer is. This Nyx Assassin will never stop scaling as long as OD is your biggest damage dealer, because mana burn will become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and on top of that, you've got yourself an OD. Normal counter for the OD is a BKB. MUFC already have one that has a built-in BKB. How lucky is that? FC is, of course, therefore already a little bit extra safe. Blink in RP gets only a Windrunner here, though. In comes the Impale. Doesn't hit, but it is going to be a kill for CTY.
A lot of ultimates.
Slightly overkill, if you ask me, but a kill is
More
a
than
kill.
slightly.
And as you said, I mean, it's the Windrunner. It's the one that should be keeping MUFC in the game, the one that can actually counter push very well with the power shot, so they won't be able to defend their tier 2 tower. And with this, I mean, you just mentioned how MUFC can come back in this game. It's basically holding on. They've got this Keep of Light. Turling is definitely an option, but not against this might of Vici Gaming right now, because they are just way ahead. And Illuminates are nice, but not all powerful.
Not lose. They can't lose the lane of Rax, in my opinion, this early. But the thing is, VG are so low on ultimates. That was a really bad force staff. Why did he force staff in like that?
I'm not
Maybe just
sure.
a misclick.
Looks like
That's a huge mistake.
Yeah, he'll be going down for it as well. He actually force staffed himself, right? Did he just miss?
He force staffed himself. I don't know what happened, but he did force staff himself. I think he meant to go south. I can't imagine that he would actually have meant to go north. Not with no Sanity's Eclipse. With Eclipse and RP, I could see that as a like flip it on its head. But they had just used the RP and the Sanity's Eclipse to kill TFG, so I can't imagine that he actually meant to do that. That's fine, but I mean it's a tier 3 attempt that ends with one of your players dying. They did some damage to the tower at least, a lot.
Yeah, and we have gotten the Infest again. This time he already goes inside the Vendetta. We'll be finding 2-2. Looks like there's no RP on the board, so this could be just a free kill for them. Impale, Infest out, 2-2 in some trouble. Will be able to score if he... Nope, no cooldown ready before he died. And that's a nice pickup. In comes the Telekinesis, in comes FY. He doesn't have a Dragon form though. Has to get a range if he wants to get his Dragon 2 off, and doesn't look like he can.
He actually thought that he had... Well, he didn't think he had Shadowblade finished, but he acted as if he did. He actually activated the Shadow Amulet as he was trying to chase for a brief second. But unfortunately, FY, that does not speed you up. It does not give you... I mean, it does give you stealth, technically, but... I mean, this is exactly what MUFC need to be doing. We were talking about it. They need to keep VG off their high ground, A. And they need to try to get a few kills here and there with the Nyx Assassin Lifestealer combo, B. And so far, 2 for 2. And Phantom Lancer is farming, and Huntress player is starting to farm pretty well. He's got Diffusal, he's got part of the Yasha for the Mantis style. He's doing well.
Yeah, and the later this game goes, the better it is for MUFC. I think that Vici Gaming will be very much aware of that though. So they probably should try to find a way to keep the pressure on.
They will.
Now that the Shadowblade is done on FY, having a better result maybe with that as well, actually able to chase people if he wants to. We have the Hex being built up by CTY, I think, as well.
Yep, definitely. It'll definitely be Hex coming out from him, and the other thing that's important is the Necronomicon from ZSMJ. So, like you said, VG are aware of the fact that they don't have a favorable scaling position, that if MUFC sort of just dirtles around and gets a kill here or there to deflect them from doing anything, they're going to find themselves in a disadvantageous position sooner or later. So I like the Necronomicon a lot to give them that extra push to try to go high ground. Keep in mind that last high ground push, unsuccessful as it was, it did over 1,000 damage to this tower. So another couple of those, and they could be up a lane of Rax, which will put them in, once again, a very favorable position. FY hunting, by the way, but he gets spotted out.
Gets spotted out, and we'll be
Gems on Ling, so he's got to be careful about this.
He pops a Dragon form though, he's gonna go in again. Taking down the tower first, Illuminates will try and stop it, but that's not gonna be enough. And actually Ling has to be careful not to illuminate those Necronomicon warriors, because that actually hurts him quite a bit.
Yep.
He is, I mean, he's level 9, he did level some up, but he's only got 680 HP.
Oh yeah, backlash is huge against Keeper of the Light. That's a great point. It's one of the ways to high ground against Keeper of the Light. One of the ways is pipe or blade mail, which is very rare, but Necro is a great option because they push very well, and of course, as you're right, they have the backlash.
Yeah, if you just have 2 Necronomicon warriors level 3, that's gonna be Keeper of Light dead if she kills them off both.
Yep. Meanwhile, MUFC, they want to reestablish vision, for one. There's a lot of aggressive vision being placed by VG here. They could also try to sneak a Roshan. Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, but the double damage rune will be a bit easier. Let's see, do we have an...
Open wounds is going to be huge for this.
Yeah, we don't have Medallion of Courage, though. And they are looking to lose their tier 2 maybe instead of it. But actually, though, the creep wave is so far away. This is just wasted time for Vici Gaming. And they have no idea that this is going on right now, I think.
Yeah, they saw some assembly, but not enough to be 100% certain, and MUFC just had such a jump on them as far as getting to the pit. It wouldn't have been smart for VG to try to rotate from all the way up here to try to intercept the Roshan. It's smart that they just let it go, but yeah, that's a free Aegis for MUFC. Again, they're doing everything that they need to do. They put the Aegis on, I assume, the Lifestealer? Yeah, the Lifestealer. That's a good choice.
Lifestealer was going for a very speedy build, by the way. Sanjin Yasha on the way, and of course drums and phase already done. Tier 2 tower, last tier 2 standing on the side of MUFC will drop. No surprise there, but now that there's an Aegis on MUFC, going high ground for Vici Gaming is going to be a lot tougher than what it was before. They kinda are forced to take a fight beforehand and win that one and then go high ground.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Yeah,
attack.
I mean, what they can do is just push a lot whenever they have Necro Warriors and just send the Necro Warriors up to the high ground, do a little bit of chip tower damage. The Nature's Prophet can also split push quite a bit. I think we're going to see, now that every single outer tower is down, we're probably going to see ZSMJ do a lot more split pushing. And yeah, I mean, he's, tied for highest net worth, so from a 4-position Nature's Prophet. And they have very good positioning right now as far as being the dominant team for how farmed they are. But that's going to eventually tip as Phantom Lancer gets bigger.
Yeah, we already see him crawling up the ladder there. Of course, every core of MUFC was lower than every core of Vici Gaming beforehand. And slowly but steadily, he is definitely catching up. And if you look at gold per minute, it's still below the 3 cores of Vici Gaming. But, I mean, it is increasing, as you said. And with this ancient stack, it will increase even more. They are taking it down all together, though. So maybe some others will also take some gold from it, as we see FC also taking some farm.
PL can't solo farm this either right now. He's too squishy.
He does take a ton of gold from it, so that will be good for him. And we see his gold per minute spike up because of it. And he's now even-ish with the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, I think, again, any time that VG aren't actively sieging their high ground is good time for MUFC. It's time that they're getting something done on the map. And now TFG, of course we said that he might go straight into the mech. He did. He builds the Force Staff afterwards. So that puts them in decent position. Does VG actually have the mech? No, right, they don't. Because, like I said, CTY never builds it, and Fenrir doesn't have the money to, and ZSMJ, I don't know. Maybe he'll go mech now, but it would be nice to have one if they're going to try to high ground.
Yeah, I agree, just for sustainability, and especially if they are up against a Keeper of the Light, you want to have a mech or a pipe. And of course you can count on the Necronomicon maybe to also damage Ling a bit, but it's still going to damage you too. So you have to have something to deal with that harassment. And pipe is probably the one that's really needed also, of course, to protect the creeps that walk high ground. But nobody is really buying anything like that at the moment. Or looking to buy anything like that by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think VG know that they're on, not a timer, but there's a time in which this game is going to be easy and a time in which this game is going to be hard. And we're currently in the process of transitioning between those two. But maybe, for instance, they could want to wait out the Aegis, and it's only 3 minutes, so perhaps that's a decent idea. They have this Scythe now on CTY, that's a big addition as well. To try to lock down somebody like Windrunner in particular would be a great thing to kill. But you can see MUFC hitting their items as well. The Blink on Nyx Assassin, what I assume is going to be Sanjin Yasha. Yeah, Sanjin Yasha for the Lifestealer.
Yeah, and it's actually ready right now as well as the courier is bringing it out. So that will be MUFC in a position where they already can fight. We've got the Phantom Lancer that got his Vitality booster. Of course he wants to have it turn into a heart at some point, but this Vitality booster already allows him to be active in fights, and it's already going to be very annoying for the supports. And it's actually right now MUFC that is looking for a fight. They've got an infested Lifestealer again inside the Nyx Assassin. And they're not alone. TFG will have to deal with FY first. There's a Dragon Tail. Here comes a Blink forward. Infest out. Is there going to be an Impale? Was there as well. It is going to be Winter that uses the mechanism or gets the mechanism to heal himself back up. Nobody dies for now. And it is CTY that is the first one to drop. In comes Huntress player. Down goes Huntress player. FY still getting the kill. The rest of MUFC now backing up. But without their OD, they won't continue fighting. Maybe they can still get another kill. And they do still get the Nyx Assassin. And maybe they're actually forced to push right now because they kind of have to. They just realized, oh, MUFC has got their core items up, kind of. So they are now all of a sudden a lot more powerful than they were before. Fighting at the same time and finding their OD dying, who just had a Hex, who didn't get to use it in that fight, that's painful.
Nyx Blink is an enormous deal because now if he's a Lifestealer carrying vehicle, if Nyx blinks in, Impale, Mana Burn, plus the Lifestealer and Fest damage is an enormous chunk of OD's health. I mean, you just saw the Mana Burn took a very, very decent chunk and CTY dropped very quickly. It was still a pretty solid trade for VG, 2 for 1. And of course Magnus had just had his BKB delivered, so that did a lot of work there. But maybe they're waiting to stack BKBs is my only thought. They might want to add a BKB on, yeah, full BKB built out for FY in one fell swoop. And they're going to absolutely want a BKB on CTY, but that's a long distance off.
Yeah, especially since he of course just died, just completed his Hex. He basically needs all the gold, only has about 500. The BKB already one charge down for the Magnus, so he already used that, already showed that. That's probably more important than using it,
yeah.
Just so that MUFC knows that that is indeed up. So the initiations are going to be either more important, just to get that Magnus down before he can use it, or of course just trying to bait out that BKB and then run, and then come back afterwards when you know that it's on cooldown. But they're going to smoke up.
Smoke up, yeah.
And they are not
there's
having...
no detection from MUFC here. They still have the gem, I believe, on Keeper. Yeah, so yes. Ling still has gem, but that doesn't really matter that much for smoke. The bigger issue is no sentry wards, and maybe VG actually finds something here.
Yeah, they go for it at low ground. They now know that maybe someone is farming that camp. Tutu has got some vision. It is daytime, of course. Force staff forward. FY. Dragon Tail hits. Where is his team? Not there in time. The Hex is still going to be there, but the force staff forward from Ling helping out his Lifestealer, and that means the smoke gank failed.
They used the Force Staff to get the Dragon Knight in, which of course meant, you know, if you use that, you don't have the Force Staff when the OD wants to get in and chain it up. So, yeah, it was correct of them to back off, but that's a completely wasted Dragon form. They're going to lose probably all the time from that and not be able to push with it. And VG, I mean, yeah, it's still, I think they're waiting for maybe the BKB on CTY, but the lack of urgency they're playing with is cause for some concern, because FCYY, even though he had a very difficult time early on, is now doing just fine.
And that's going to be CTY's BKB even delayed more. There was, of course, the Vendetta from Winter, and Huntress player decided to come in with his Doppelwalk as well. He's now going to get called back to the Keeper of the Light to continue farming bottom, because that's where the split push is happening from ZSMJ. And the split push, the way this game is going, is almost gonna turn into Vici Gaming's only hope, because in terms of team fights, they don't have the advantage anymore of pure raw power. MUFC is getting bigger and bigger and is able to survive those big team fights bursts. On top of that, they have got the mechanism, and as you already pointed out, there's no mechanism up on Vici Gaming, so that's kind of putting MUFC in a good spot in terms of team fight, and split push, therefore, as said, will be the key.
I would say I definitely agree. The no mech is awkward. The fact that OD is going to die quicker and quicker until he hits BKB is awkward. I wouldn't say that they have no other hope. I mean, they still have a lot of team fight abilities. They've got reverse polarity available. Their Dragon Knight is pretty farmed. Their Nature's Prophet is quite big. I still think there's a lot of opportunities for VG, even to win team fights. But they're going to have to keep OD very safe. They're going to have to play more safely with this Outroll Devourer.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if this goes on very much longer, then they will have no other option. For now, of course they do, but yeah, it is slipping away from their fingers. We're gonna see how they deal with that, though, if they are gonna have the protection up for OD to get him a BKB. FY is already on the hunt. He has got that Invis rune. It's gonna be going for TFG. There goes the Dragon Tail. Again, Windrunner. Can it be picked up? Telekinesis there as well. And that's gonna be Force Staff to the high ground. One more hit needed. There we go. The Blinding Light helping out so much. Oh my god, he lives! That should have been a kill.
Very nice blinding light. That was very good work from MUFC defensively
Yes.
to protect TFG. Now, he would have bought back if he had died, but there would have been a lot of lost gold. And VG, yeah, I mean, at least they get the fortification. I think they can do a lot of damage to this tower. But again, very well-placed blinding lights from Ling.
Yeah, and the tower, just like the tier 3 tower on the bottom lane, lost 1k HP. Doesn't go down just yet, though. And there was no,
Yeah,
like, at this moment, there was no split push coming up from ZSMJ either, because he was, of course, with the mid lane, I believe. But
Yeah, he was contributing to the mid push, which I think is fine.
if the lanes were a bit more pushed out, he might have been able to do something on the top lane as well, I think. But
Yeah, possibly.
we'll see if they do that, maybe next time. We've got an infested lifestealer again, and we now have a Scythe of Vice ready up on ZSMJ, who went all in for that one.
Yeah, and the nice thing about MUFC's position here is that because they sort of have, I mean, Windrunner is not a hardcore hero for them. They don't need really much besides 4-staff mechanism, and Phantom Lancer is their primary farmer. You can see that their supports have actually a lot more net worth on them than Fenrir has, because there is nowhere on the map that Fenrir can farm
Yeah, oh.
without stealing farm from his core heroes. So he has nothing on Rubik, absolutely nothing. Whereas Keeper of the Light has a 4-staff, Nyx Assassin has a Blink. These are just much sturdier, more contributory supports than the Rubik can afford to be.
Yeah, all he has to hope for is a stand back, hope that he steals a good spell and that he can use it from the background. For which the power shot is of course one of the better ones, because you can indeed just stand back and use it. We've got a bit of a gank here, Blink, infest out, going for 2-2. He doesn't have his BKB popped and he will end up going down. And that's gonna be a buyback for 2-2. There's also tier 1 tower, so he'll be back here shortly. FY turns on his BKB, backs off. There comes an RP, up on 2, Shockwave as well. And that will be Huntress player going down, Lifestealer dead as well. Buyback from Too Fucking Good. And that is gonna be 3 people left for MUFC. This is going to be rough.
PL just bought the heart, so they can buy back everybody but Phantom Lancer, but they can't buy back Phantom Lancer. So VG must push right now, I feel. It's an easy pickup of at least the tier 3 tower. I don't know if they racks, actually, but they very well may.
We're gonna see how much TFG can do. Nice shackle. But still, there's other people that can push as well, besides the Dragon Knight, who just continues afterwards. Of course, with that fight as well, I believe... Oh, that's a new gem. FY picked up his own gem. Fenrir buying it for him. But yeah, Rex go down in the middle lane. Vici Gaming.
Very good fight.
Yeah, they
The buyback from Magnus was so clutch, because MUFC did an amazing job of focusing down Magnus before he could RP. And because 2-2 has been taking some farm, he had enough money to just buy back, come right back in, and perform an absolutely monstrously important RP that tilted the phase of that game. Also, check out just how much they've concentrated on TFG in every fight. In that fight, like, CTY and FY concentrated on him before anybody else. And they get the Roche off of it too, so this is a good example of taking one fight and...
Whoa.
Nice!
Whoa!
Attempt at the steal from Nyx Assassin, but not enough.
To be fair, it took them quite some time before OD was able to pick up the Aegis, so there was a chance where he could be fast enough, but nice reactions coming off from FY to get the Dragon Tail in there in time. And of course, this is just also one of those things that just shows how important that tier 1 tower is. Otherwise, of course, Magnus wouldn't have been back into that fight so fast, but because the fight happened mid lane, buybacks on the side of Vici Gaming would just mean more than buybacks on the side of MUFC. And even though there was only one buyback for Vici Gaming, it was
so important.
It was so important, indeed.
And they still don't have buyback on PL, and VG knows that. That's why you see them throwing out even more pressure. Now with the Aegis added, OD is their most sort of unstable point. He's the point at which if he dies, they're in a lot of trouble. But now he has the Aegis, so he can afford to die.
Yep. Tier 3 tower, taking some harassment from illusions. Nature's Prophet in the meantime doing what I said earlier, so goes to push on the top lane. We'll try to force some people from MUFC back, and that will allow Vici Gaming to go in on the bottom lane. Perhaps.
Yeah, they just mostly want to keep PL here, I feel. It's interesting that ZSMJ is not pressing it as hard as he could be. I feel that I agree with you, he could be pressing a little harder into this tier 3.
Yeah, I think so too, but...
They don't have so they have the Frost Dragon, which is good and almost always, but it is a tiny bit less pushing pressure.
Let's see if they can find someone. If they go in. I mean, it's not an Aegis on the OD, so he has to be careful. He's down to half HP. Illuminates will hurt. And no mechanism means that no heals will be there. Infest out. They're going for him. There goes a nice RP up on 3, though. Brilliantly played by 2-2. Aegis still gets burned. It is the Nyx Assassin that goes down. And the Lifestealer gets forced off into safety. On trash. Gets an Eclipse on his head. One more hit. Will be enough. OD. Making it work. Gets shackled. But if he dies now, it would be worth it because he did take down the Phantom Lancer and he won't even die right now. Still takes a ton of harassment. Illuminates, just keep flying over. Look at those HP bars from Vici Gaming.
Almost an ultra kill for that Keeper of the Light there. And this is when, come on, like, Mechanism, right? Like, they could just go right back and take the tier 3.
Everything, yeah. I fully agree. It's surprising to see. I mean, yeah, they take down a Phantom Lancer again, awesome. They don't take down a tier 3 tower, though.
Yeah, with Mechanism, they'd take the tier 3 easily. Just turn right around and push into it.
Yep.
And they have the money. I don't know. I really feel that Mech would have done them some good. At this point, maybe they feel like it's too late to bother. And I mean, Rubik...
Yeah.
You won't see Fenrir making anything this game, simply because he has to bear the load of 2 supports, because ZSMJ is playing hard carry 4 position, right? He's got the highest net worth by a substantial margin in the game.
Told you
and
so.
VG... Yeah, no, absolutely, you were completely right.
Although Nature's Prophet, yeah. It is easy to do that. But yeah, I agree. He has a urn, though. He can heal his team a little bit.
You mean Fenrir? Yeah, he does have a urn. Yeah. I like urn, but it's not going to replace a Mechanism or something.
Yeah, we have a level 2 Diffuser Blade up on the Phantom Lancer, but yeah, still, he doesn't have buyback, he went all in. He has got that heart, but for some reason...
He doesn't have enough.
Yeah, he doesn't have enough. It is just like, you know, Vici Gaming thinks you have a heart,
well,
nice, we're still gonna kill you. Maybe a little bit slower, but yeah.
The thing about PL against OD is PL has good armor after he sort of builds all his agi items. He has good armor in general. He has amazing magic resistance because of Phantom Edge, and OD doesn't care about any of those things because once you know which Phantom Lancer is the real one, and once he's in Scythe of Ice, so he doesn't have any evasion, the OD will just crap on him because of the pure damage from the Arcane Orb. And that's what's been happening every fight when C2Y stays alive.
And on top of that, if you are the one that pushes into a Phantom Lancer, he doesn't have time to make illusions. So it's going to be easier to find the real one. And even if there are illusions, one Eclipse, all illusions die. It is, yeah, and just in general, if he hits him with one Arcane Orb, that's going to be an illusion dead. So yeah, very good hero up against the Phantom Lancer. We do have a smoke up, by the way. They go for a wraparound gank. We've got an Infest up for the next Assassin. And the Vendetta goes as well. Let's see if they can make something happen. There is a Sentry Ward already standing there. And they do have a Gem of Truth set up on the Dragon Knight. No, not anymore.
Yeah.
That is actually
it's a delicate position, because MUFC knows that this didn't work the last time. This is the exact thing they did when it didn't work at the Roche Pit. Or northwest of the Rush Pit. Yeah. So yeah, they end up not even finding the positioning. The vision wasn't great. It's, I don't know. It makes sense that they didn't go in on it, but it's a difficult thing to take.
Yeah. In the meantime, FY pops Dragon Form again, finally gets that tower. Sees if he can find something else here. Gets Mana Leaked, will just stand still and hit stuff. Do that. Nice Spike Carapace steal from Fenrir. I was thinking, why is he looking like a porcupine? But that's why. All those spikes. But yeah, Rax next, if they can get it. Shadowblade goes up the high ground, looking for Dragon Tail, doesn't find anybody for the Dragon Tail, turns on his BKB anyway. Whoa, he is really on the hunt. We'll settle for Rex instead, but that's very trigger-happy BKB right there. Fortification will get forced out, that's nice. Illusions being created. The Lances, there goes a Shackle, doesn't latch though.
These Illuminates are actually really on point. This is the thing about, so Keeper of the Light on a player who is sort of your high execution support. So I find a lot of teams have like one support who typically is relied upon for the very high execution supports, and the other player plays the other one. And Ling, I feel, is usually on these heroes like Visage that require sort of pinpoint accuracy. Keeper of the Light, I've heard it said that he's a hero who doesn't really reward that, like he's not tremendously, the skill cap on him isn't very high. But I actually think depending on your Illuminate placement, depending on your Blinding Light placement, you could definitely see the difference between like a really well-executing player on him. And I feel that Ling has really milked this Keeper of the Light for all it's worth. Like, how many pushes have they deflected? Not because of PL, not because of Windrunner, not because of anything except good Blinding Lights and good Illuminates. And that's really the mark of just an excellent support player. I really think Ling is just an excellent player.
He is definitely delaying this game for his team, which is needed. Unfortunately for MUFC, can't really find too much out of that delay. I mean, they are going to try again now. They smoke up and Infest is there again up on Winter. Let's see if they can find something with this. But yeah, I mean, I agree that Keeper of Light just playing a key role. On top of that, playing a key role against a team that doesn't do anything against a Keeper of Light in terms of building pipe or mech or anything like that. let's see if MUFC can find a fight here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, they do have 3 BKBs, so that's... Now that that's finally up on CTY, I think they probably will feel a little more comfortable sieging, because one more push like that, and they do get the melee racks, even if they lose a person or two for it.
Yeah, and they can afford to lose a person for racks right now. I mean, even if they lose a fight for a lane of racks, they still have, of course, their tier 2 towers, and they can just try to muscle through to the top lane at some point as well.
Probably.
And not really fear the Phantom Lancer too much just yet, but let's see. They're gonna go from behind again. We've got the Windrunner and Winter sitting from behind. Blinking Infest out, going on Fenrir. Fenrir already dead before the fight starts. FY, getting slowed, getting mana leaked. Nobody else dies but the Rubik. Nice pickup from UFC. The question is it gonna be enough to stop Vici from pushing in?
I'm not super confident. I think they're going to keep pushing. Nice mana leak plus 4 staff. Again, the good execution, even though his win rate on him isn't great.
Yeah.
But can they get the racks? I feel like they really want this second lane.
Yeah, one more hit needed, 2 more. There goes a Hex, here comes an RP, up on only 1 though. Nice 4-step forward to miss the skewer. That's gonna be at least FC dead. It is on trash player. Like, hard or not, he dies real fast. Buyback will be there, but the Rex will be already dead in the meantime. And that will be Vici Gaming probably backing off and running for their lives, or at least running for now, and just go on the top lane next time they
I'm not
look for pushing.
I don't know how much I like the heart, honestly, this game. He paid a really big price for it. Like, not only is it expensive, he built it very early, before he built sort of finished off his Manta or anything like that, and how much good has it really done him against this pure damage of the Outworld Devourer? I feel like next to none. It hasn't kept him alive. It hasn't improved his farm. He hasn't gotten the big... One of the good things about Heart is that, you know, your illusions are getting that big strength for a lot of HP. But because they're not pushing, you're not going to have that many illusions per game. I actually feel that this Heart pickup, even though it's the standard PL pickup, I'm not sure it was a good thing this game. Like, your net worth is pretty low, so you need to make sure that you're using every piece of gold for the ideal carry situation for your team, and I don't think that's doing that.
What would you rather see instead of Heart?
I actually think BKB wouldn't have been bad this game for Phantom Lancer. Even though it's usually a horrible pickup, I think this game it would have been useful. I think it would keep him alive longer against the OD.
Yeah, I mean, we already said the standard item to counter an OD is a BKB.
Manta would at least let them split push, because he could push with a bunch of illusions in the Manta and then get recalled back by the Keeper of the Light. Or Butterfly would also have been good. I think all of those things would have been better than Heart.
FY has spotted out the real Phantom Lancer, and they're gonna try to go on him perhaps. He has an Invis rune, and he doppel walks away.
What happened to FY's gem? Did they move it? Yeah, they moved on to Rubik.
Rubik now. Okay. Keep switching it around. Oh. Yeah, that's an illusion, FY. But yeah, I mean, there's no so it's no surprise that we see. Whoa, ZSMJ Hex is up on the so the Phantom Lancer, but gets shackled, gets impaled. In comes a team. BKB's blazing, looking for a pickoff, saving their Nature's Prophet. Another Hex up on Winter this time. Illuminates will continue flying through. Winter. Spike Carapace up on CTY. Gets impaled as well. Takes a ton of damage, but doesn't go down just yet. RP hits up on the Phantom Lancer, and Hontrash player will end up alive, actually. Will end up alive. Buyback from Nature's Prophet who ended up going down. Of course, Fenrir went down on that as well. Dragon Tail still up and too fucking good. And that will be a pickup finally. Well, again, I would say it's a 3rd kill for Vici Gaming. And they only lose their Rubik for it and their Nature's Prophet who could buy back. It's not a bad fight though. It was a very awkward executed one.
It was pretty awkward. I mean, MUFC, once again, they find the initiation, but they just don't have enough tools to actually get much done after the initiation. That's pretty unfortunate, but I think VG is just going to use this to push the tier 3, and now you don't have a buyback on Lifestealer. He built out the Basher, and I just don't know how much more they have in the tank.
Oh, nice shackle. Stops FY from pushing, and actually more shackles. Hex goes up onto TFG, though. No buyback for him, as said. Just to be careful, but Hontrash has to be a lot more careful, yeah. The skewers.
Magnus is really good, actually. That's one area where I don't think it's a hero XTT plays at all, but now it's a hero that VG have in their repertoire. Because I know that CTY doesn't really like playing it, so if you can have that Magnus as an alternate, like a 3 position, and you have a good Magnus player.
Yeah, and that's Mega Creeps right there. Eclipse gets dropped, Nyx goes down, 2-2 pops his BKB to get away from FC, and actually will end up staying alive, but FC not so lucky, and that's going to be the GG called. Of course, this is a best of 3, and this was only game 1, so MUFC has got a chance to force out a 3rd game, but for now, Vici Gaming, very dominant, very as you said at the start, crispy play, and they just never let go of the control that they had. And MUFC, well, just not getting back into the game, regardless of the nice counter push from the Phantom Lancer Ling.
Yeah, I just feel that. I mean, basically, this boils down to MUFC needed to win lanes. They needed to do better in the laning phase, and instead VG got farm across 4 heroes. I mean, they had 4 heroes that were as farmed as MUFC's top hero. And PL, you already are playing from a disadvantage against OD. It's not a great matchup in general, so you need to be more farmed than he is because of the huge pure damage.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, Ling is actually the one that died least on his team as a support keeper of light. That is always something pretty to watch. But we are going to see game number 2, Vici Gaming, MUFC, who will make it onto the semifinals and who will get knocked out. It is single elimination, best of 3 brackets. Of course, you are watching the AMD Premier League in the 2nd season, and we'll see in the next game if we're going to have a game 3 or if Vici Gaming is going to 2-0 this TI3 invitee team, MUFC. Stick around.